Attention everybody, the views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. It's Tuesday, and it's voting day. Good morning, coming to you live from Acts Media Group headquarters here in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's The Morning Drive with Matt and Jay with your hosts, Matt and Jay. We're by ourselves again today. Let's keep everybody in your prayers.
Is that supposed to be the...
Is that what it is?
Is that supposed to be our...
No. Is that what it is?
Looks like it. Yep.
Well then. See if I can fix this while we're on the air.
Good morning, everybody. It's election day.
It is election day indeed. All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
We're glad to have everybody on board with us today.
Yeah.
There we go. I just changed the thumbnail. Boom. Thumbnail changed. So we're glad to have everybody with us today. Today is voting day. Don't forget to get out and vote. Hopefully you know where you need to vote. And if you have your voter's registration card, or you have to have either that or a photo ID, correct, Jay?
Yeah. ID.
Photo ID. I got to start out with a joke.
Uh-oh.
I love word jokes, like word pun type jokes.
Yeah.
So a woman is sitting at her deceased husband's funeral, and a man leans into her and asks, "Do you mind if I say a word?" "No, go right ahead," the woman replies. The man stands up, clears his throat, and says, "Plethora," and then sits back down. The woman says, "That means a lot."
Right.
Oh, boy, that's so funny.
Because it does actually mean a lot. Voter identification.
Voter identification. So it's voting day, and that's our civic duty. Voting is our civic duty. Let's see here what we got. Voter identification.
Whoa!
So it's voting day, and that's. Whoa, just saying.
Do these have an expiration?
I don't know.
Why does it have two dates on it? 7/14/17 and 1/8/19?
Because so you're gonna have to use your ID.
Better not expire. It shouldn't.
I got sent a new one today, or not today, the other day.
You received it in the mail?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So be sure and like and share these videos with your friends on your wall, on your
there it is.
on your story. All right. Share. I left my Chromebook at the house, which makes me sad. I usually use it. So the afternoon programming is hereby suspended operations until further notice due to COVID-19. That's all I'm going to say about that. So if you're one of those people that tune in to our afternoon programming, there will not be afternoon programming. We don't know exactly when it's coming back, but it will be soon. We just got to make sure that the people involved are properly quarantining themselves. So they don't necessarily have it.
I'm supposed to sign it.
They don't necessarily have it that we know of, but due to exposure, we had to shut down operations in the afternoon. So, voting day. Voting day.
Election day.
Yes.
Does anybody know what else is on the ballot?
No.
Okay, Google. What is on the ballot today?
President.
Well, of course. Today's elections ballotpedia.
Morning, Steve McAllister. Including Steve McAllister's show. Yes. Which was supposed to be yesterday.
All right, so let's look it up. Today's elections. Let's look at Missouri.
Misery?
Missouri.
Ah,
November
here we are.
3rd.
Linda Fleetwood, welcome to the party. Larry Melton, I know you guys haven't commented yet. Oh, there we go, Larry Melton. Good morning, my friends. Good morning, Larry Melton. It's a beautiful day in the Ozarks today. Boy, I got a busy day.
Okay, so this is a very, very important election. For President of the United States, the U.S. House, Congress special election is today. Governor, other state executive, State Senate, State House, State Supreme Court, intermediate appellate courts, local judges, school boards, municipal government, ballot measures, local ballot measures. So there's a lot on the election today.
Yeah.
A lot of very important things.
Oh, yeah, pray for Barney. His mom passed away yesterday.
Yes.
He is doing remarkably well, or he was when he came by the house last night. Now, we've talked about this before, and it stands true. Focus on what's true. Focus on what's lovely. Focus on the truth is that if you go to sleep in the Lord, that you're no longer having to worry about any pains and aches and sicknesses here on earth, you know. He said he likes to imagine his mom walking hand in hand with his sister, whom he lost just 11 days ago. So he's going through a pretty rough patch, pretty big deal in life right now, and continue to pray for him. Pray that he gets some sleep, some rest. So there's a lot of stuff we got to pray about today.
Yes.
You know, pray.
State legislature referred. So there's a constitutional amendment to the ballot concerning term limits for state executive officials and redistricting procedures, lobbying, and campaign finance.
Huh. I saw an interesting campaign ad. And I think, was it governor? These two guys were both running for governor, and their campaign ad was the same. They were both on this campaign ad, and he said, and it was like, he has ideas that I disagree with, but he also has some that I do agree with. And the guy said, yeah, we may be running against each other, but that doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
Say this again.
It was a campaign ad for governor. I can't remember what state, but good morning, Jonathan Kretzman. There was both candidates on the same commercial, being nice to one another and not talking bad about each other. Mm-hmm. And they, it ended with, so vote for me or vote for him. We're still going to be friends afterwards, anyways. Oh,
really?
And then they both say, I'm such and such, and he said, he's such and such, whatever. He said, and we approve this message. And it was a co-op advertisement. He said, we can advertise without putting each other down.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of positivity I think. If the presidential election was like that, the world would be a much better place. If there wasn't so much animosity, but they were friends.
Why aren't they campaigning on what's on the ballots? You know why? Because what's on the ballots are put on the ballots by petition, and they have to have enough voter signatures in order to get on the ballot. Yeah. So that means that's what people are interested in.
Morning, Becky Coe.
And that's what people have been signing. In other words, people are saying, yes, I will sign that. I agree with that. So those are good issues to run on when they're going to be on the
Hundreds
election.
of thousands of people sign these petitions.
Well, it's actually not that many.
It's not?
There has to be a certain number in order for it to get on the ballot.
Does it depend on the size of your city or wherever your
I think it's
district is?
No, I don't think it does. I think there is a minimum.
Buddy Pillmore.
It's a standard.
Buddy, we need to get out there and play with you guys. It's
State executive term limits are on the ballot. Two terms for sets a 2-term limit for lieutenant governor, secretary of state, state auditor, and attorney general.
So that means that slows career politicians down then.
Well, yeah. What it does is it gives them a certain amount of time. So if it limits their time, then whatever their true intentions are while they're in there, they're going to really work hard for.
Yeah.
So their first term is going to tell you a lot about what they're really interested in doing in office. So they won't get a second term if they're not doing the right thing, and they will get a second term if they are doing the right thing. And then they'll be done. And I think term limits are a good idea. That's why the presidency is such a frantic and hard-fought thing, because they get 2 terms, and that's it. If they even get to the second term.
I wonder if
so they have to fight hard.
I wonder if Donald Trump Jr. is going to run.
In the next
I mean, it's
election.
possible. It's possible. More circusry.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of important stuff on the ballot there.
So get out and vote today. It's our civic duty. And I'm with Steve Schultz on this. Yesterday he posted on here, if you don't vote, don't complain.
Yeah.
If you complain about America and the state it's in and you didn't vote, then you have no right to complain. That doesn't mean you can't, because we have a free country and free speech, and you can complain all you want to. Yeah. God bless America. I watched that movie. There was a movie. It's called Head of State with Chris Rock. It's where they put him in to run so he could lose to set this other guy up to be able to run the next time and win. And he ended up winning, but it was a very good depiction of what politics really is. There's
an amendment to Medicaid on the ballot.
Amendment to Medicaid?
Yep. So it's Missouri Amendment 2, Medicaid Expansion Initiative, August 2020. Oh, wait a minute. August.
David Harrison, welcome to the party. That would be
that's 20.
Coach, right? I think you're, yeah. So, Steve McAllister says he does plan to return next Monday, but he will let us know ASAP.
Mm-hmm. As long as it's safe.
As long as it's safe. Because it's better to be safe than sorry. It's like I had a guy the other night up at work. He was a new guy through a staffing company, and he was coughing a lot. And I told him, I mean, I had no right to send him home or anything, but I said, if your cough is that bad, you need to get out of here and go home. Because he said, well, I've been checked. It's not COVID. It's bronchitis. I said, I don't care. I said, I will tell you, though, if I see you coughing without that
it's contagious anyway, isn't it?
Viral bronchitis is, yeah. I said, anytime you cough, I want to see that bandana you have up on your face. Cover your mouth when you cough. He ended up going home anyways because it was a pretty bad cough. And nowadays, that makes it really, makes a person uneasy when they hear somebody coughing. Like sometimes I'll inhale saliva and I have to fight the cough. I'll have to go outside and cough because people look at you weird whenever you're coughing up a storm.
You've got your
justifiably
watch party going again.
Yeah, I found it.
Not that one. There we go. I'm finally there. Okay, so I'm with you guys. Sorry.
Some important stuff on the ballot today.
There's always important stuff on the ballot. It is very important. They sneak stuff through.
Oh, yeah.
Just by not.
Have you read those bills?
And by mixing things together.
Yeah.
that
It's
shouldn't
like
be.
I think all bills should be standalone bills.
I think so too. I don't know why. I mean, if they spent less time trying to work it out and put it together, it would, and more time focusing on one bill, making sure it's complete, well defined, and understood.
One
and
fire
put it
at a
out
time.
there, and put it out there. They could do each one quicker and get them done and
Yeah.
out of the way.
You're cutting yourself off at the legs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like the stimulus bill, the stimulus package.
Mm-hmm.
They were throwing stuff on there that had to do with
They still are.
the new Green Deal and crap.
Yeah.
That's not even the point of it.
And bailing out states that have been poorly managed.
Yeah.
That were in dire straits before COVID-19. They're financially in ruin, and they want to be bailed out since COVID-19.
Which, they see, who was it said, I can't remember, was it Chuck Schumer that said, never waste a tragedy or something like that?
Well, why would you bail out an opposition party state and help them to function by federal taxpayer dollars to function against the will of the federal government?
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense. I mean, if they can't even raise enough money within their own state, then they have a problem.
And it's not just raising the money, it's what they've spent it on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
how many $1 billion did the House spend just trying to impeach President Trump?
a lot. It's like 23 million.
Yeah. I mean, that's insane.
To us, sounds like a lot, but to the big players, it doesn't sound like much at
I
all.
bet you if it was coming out of their wallets, they would be a lot quicker about it.
Oh, yeah.
So instead, they're using the government, a system put in place by the government to pull out a personal vendetta, to seek vengeance
Yeah.
on somebody that made fun of their mom or whatever. That's essentially it's elementary school with trillions of dollars.
Yeah, I think also, but some things also come out of necessities that are unique to certain governments, certain states, and even certain local environments that are necessary, very expensive to develop.
Yeah.
And it's hard to sell those things to everybody because not everybody has that problem. Like
Right.
I addressed it one other time, is the smog problem in Los Angeles. I mean, there was a time when you couldn't hardly breathe during rush hour.
Yeah, I mean, I've even seen old movies from the 80s
Uh-huh.
where it showed the smog.
Yeah, you could see it. It was
and
horrible.
it was like London fog would be here,
Yeah. And it was in the news all the time. You heard about it all the time because it was a genuine problem.
Yeah.
And those are expensive problems to solve. They're kinds of problems that the affected area doesn't have the revenue to solve,
Right.
because it means developing new technologies that will help that. But as populations grow, as metropolitan areas grow across the world, these technologies will be valuable, not just socially, but also financially, as long as it's done the right way.
Morning, Jackie Melton.
That's one of the things that Donald Trump's been doing while he's been in office is saying, look, we're developing all these technologies and then just giving it away. And then nobody's paying us for the things that we're giving, and they're allowing China, like the peace accord in France, it's some environmental thing that allows the third world countries, some of them even the highest populations in the world, to still do these pollution, like pumping out coal and, all these pollutive types of energies, and allowing them to pump, not have their cars regulated and so strictly regulated so that they can't emit as many, gases that cause things like smog. Allowing them all to do it, but then not allowing us. So we have to develop the technology or we can't use the product. So we develop the technology, and then it's handed down freely to those other countries, and then they're not even required to use it. So they can say, it's too expensive.
Yeah, that's
But we want these third world countries to develop, right? I mean, do we really want people to live in poverty just because?
No.
When we have such excess. So there's got to be a balance stricken there. But
we do have excess.
Yeah.
What?
What's going on?
Oh, I was just looking. I don't have my. Oh, there it is. I was. I've got a. I was making sure that my front-facing camera was working.
Remember, it is very important to vote today.
It is. So please, please, please remember.
It needs to be a lot of people voting today. I heard a rumor that 79 ballots were cast already, and that was what, Friday?
79 million?
79 million. That's a quarter of our population. Men, women, and children, according to the census. Not even registered voters. That's the entire population. We have, 320 million people in our population?
Give or take 5 million.
79 million of them have voted already? That's 1 in 4 people.
Well, I mean, you got to think there's also people that feel like their vote it's more important to vote this year. They may okay, so you have millions of truck drivers.
Yeah.
And most of them are out on the road and can't vote.
Yeah.
And it's very important. This is all elections are important. But this is the most, this is the most followed one thus far.
I remember there have been several elections in my lifetime that were very important.
So you have people that feel like, first of all, if they're for Trump, they are afraid Biden's going to win, so they make sure to vote. Mm-hmm. And second of all, if they're for Biden, they want to make sure they vote to try because they know Biden needs every vote that he can get.
Yeah.
To beat Trump.
Yeah.
So I can see where, are those actual votes? I bet you a portion of them are not.
Well, there's a deeper problem in that with low voting numbers. So, I don't even know, it's 1% of the registered voters actually get out and vote in any election.
Yeah.
In our local elections are even just as important. When we think about voting, if they know that only 1 of 100 registered voters are actually out voting, they can convince their church to go out and vote in a local election and win just because everybody in their church went out and voted.
Yeah, true.
Because the margin is that size. It's that small.
Yeah.
I've seen numbers on some elections here in Springfield that were it would blow you away to realize how few people feel that these things are important.
What is it? Is there a place you can go and see how many?
Yeah, I think there is.
Uncle Rave said he voted a few days ago. Mom and Dad already voted.
Yeah.
They went up to the courthouse and they came out, gave them a ballot, and then took the ballot back in.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is it's going to be interesting. They're going to start reporting results at 10 o'clock, right? Central Standard Time. Mm-hmm. We'll be following that very closely today. If I had time, we would do a 24-hour live stream, but
if you can, what that really means though is that if you can manipulate and emotionally motivate people to vote in categories and groups, that can win an election. And it doesn't have to be a very big group. You can, with a very small group, affect an election as long as you have really made an impact on them in that they feel this election is vital, like gay rights and stuff like that. Those kinds of things win and get passed because they bring it up into the media so that the small group of people that it is important to all get out and vote. And that affects the entire election. Just like I said, in a local election, a church can affect an election One church in our city could affect our mayoral election. Sometimes the votes are within 1 or 2 votes.
Larry said, 100 million people have voted now. That don't mean that they voted Democrat.
That's 1 in 3 Americans. I find that hard to believe. That's 1 in 3 citizens of our country.
But of course, I mean, with social media, this election, there's so much fear mongering and so much of this and so much of that, I mean, it could cause more people, a historical amount of people to vote.
I'm sure it will. I have no doubt about that. But 1 in 3 citizens, and that's men, women, and children. All of our citizens, children born in the United States who are 6 months old, who have a birth certificate, are citizens.
Yeah, absolutely.
1 in 3 citizens.
That is pretty high.
That is not real.
Well,
I absolutely do not believe that's a real number.
You don't?
No.
Well,
no. And
the problem
if they
is
actually have that many ballots, it's a result of fraud. I'm absolutely positive of it.
I'm pretty sure all of us are.
Personally convinced that would be absolutely a fraudulent vote.
Yeah. I see
1
that.
in 3? 1 in 3 of all Americans, not registered voters, not adults, of our entire population, 1 in 3 have already voted.
Which is already like, what, twice as high as the average rate of registered voters?
It's way higher than that.
Yeah. So.
So there's something. Maybe things are that intense that everybody's voting, but still.
Well, we know if Biden wins by 79 million.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't trust the government in that aspect. I don't trust.
It's not necessarily the government.
And there's no way that we can.
I was prevented from voting one year.
Yeah, I remember.
Because of a bias poll operator.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. For 2 years, actually.
Yeah, because you thought you were registered to vote, and whoever did it.
I registered to vote, and for some reason it didn't get put through.
Yeah.
And so I went to vote, and they said you can't vote. Well, then I said, well, what do I need to do to be able to vote in the next election? So they gave me a form to fill out. So I filled out the form, and I handed it right to them right there that day. And then the next election came around, and I was not registered to vote.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What do they call that? Ballot harvesting? Is that where they hold on to votes? They hold on to ballots?
That's people in charge of the polls, and that's people in charge of the
withholding,
allowing their bias to. They threw it in the trash.
Yeah. So there was what was that issue back in, what is it, 90, what was it, 2000? When was the election? Was it 2000?
I mean, I registered to vote so long ago, I don't even know what party I'm registered under.
I didn't know you had to register under a party.
I think you can. Yeah, I think you have to be Democratic, Republican, or independent.
Larry says, I guess some people are dead people voting. That's true.
Yeah, of course there are. 79 million, 107 million now?
That's a lot.
That's more than a third. That's more than 1 in 3.
Yeah, because
citizens, not registered voters, not adults, of our entire citizen population, according to the census. Which the census doesn't only count those who apply on fill out the census. It does an estimate that includes those who didn't fill out the census. It's an estimate according to, it probably goes through the IRS and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what.
I just don't believe that's real. I don't believe that's a real number. I can't believe that's a real number.
Well, it's the electoral colleges that actually do the voting.
And they don't have to vote according to the popular vote in their district.
Which I think that should change. You know what I mean?
I don't know what our founding fathers had in mind when they set it up that way. I think maybe...
I do know we need the electoral colleges.
I think it is designed that under the right conditions, it would lead to revolution.
Didn't even think of it like that.
I think they would have. Our founding fathers would prefer revolution over tyranny.
Yeah, there's let's see, how many millions of new gun owners are there in the States now?
And people conceal carry. There's a record number of applications for concealed carry.
Let's see. How many new gun owners in 2020? Apparently a lot of people are asking that question.
Yeah,
more than 2 million Americans became first-time gun owners in the first half of 2020, officials reported. The National Rifle Association tweeted the news late Wednesday, referencing data released earlier in the week by the National Shooting Sports Foundation. Over 2 million new gun owners. New gun owners. That's not counting the people that already own guns. 2 million Americans became first-time gun owners.
So that's 0.6% of the population.
Yeah. Of course, this says this one's been verified, but that Wink News. It's okay. Wow. Yeah. Whew.
What?
5 million now. That was an old post I looked at, apparently.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure today that's jumping up, even doubling.
That's a lot of armed citizens.
If you can get a gun and ammo.
Yeah, well, that's why you can't get any ammo or guns, because everybody's bought them all.
Yeah.
You know,
even the ones that are being manufactured as we speak are sold.
Yeah. I'm glad I bought that AR when I could. So tonight, when Trump reaches over 270, it's over. Or I don't know if he'll reach over. If he reaches 270, it's over.
Well, he needs 270 to win. So if you reach 270, the opponent cannot win.
Yeah.
There's no comeback from that.
Yeah. Because you can't go and take your ballot back.
Right, because it's more than half of the entire
number. So anxieties are a little high. I'm a little anxious about it myself.
I'm not really anxious. I'm just, don't trust those numbers. I feel like there's fraud going on.
There always is, I think.
And I'm consoled by the fact that if there's fraud on one side, there's going to be on the other too. So there are a lot of people out there right now who, with the mail-in ballots going through the way they have, who said, if they're going to do it, I'm going to do it. So there's entire rooms full of people just filling out ballots that aren't real and sending them in.
States largest or smallest have a voice with the Electoral College numbers counted. That's true. The point of the Electoral Colleges is because the highest populated areas are what? New York, California, Texas, and Florida, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if the Electoral College, and I have somebody at work that says we don't need the Electoral Colleges anymore.
We do.
Yeah, we do, because if you look at the last election map and you see all the counties, on the outside are blue and every single one of them on the inside is red almost. So that means that more counties voted for Trump.
Yes, and it's because different regions of a country have different needs, and have different responsibilities to the entire populace.
Jessica Batson, good morning. Welcome to the party.
And if any one segment of our society had more power than the other, they would undermine themselves without even knowing it.
Yeah. So,
like if they, they would vote and undermine, like they would be against subsidizing farmers, and then all of our farms would be ranches that nobody had the equipment to farm.
yeah.
And so then in a situation like we're in now, where things have shut down and it's difficult to get commodities and things in mass at, an instant, you don't have it being produced.
Yeah.
Because now it's all ranches that a bunch of wealthy city people bought up the land and don't have the equipment or the knowledge of how to farm it.
Yeah,
Or you have a bunch of
farmers are
vegans.
important.
You know what I mean? Or you motivate the entire population of vegans, and the media uses emotion to motivate the entire population of vegans and vegetarians to basically vote out cattle farming. And then there's no meat. We all die of what's that, scurvy.
Rabbit starvation sickness.
Yeah. I mean, because the truth is we get most of our vitamins and minerals from meat.
Yeah. We are like, you pointed something out that I thought was interesting. You said, and it is true, a majority of plants will kill us.
A majority of plants will kill us. Yeah, I heard that on a podcast. That
A
was
rather
very
large
interesting.
majority of plants will kill us.
You have to know what plants outside right now you can eat.
Right.
Almost any animal you can eat won't kill you.
Right.
It won't even make you sick.
Yeah. Might make you think gross.
There are
This
very
tastes
few.
horrible.
And for you to come across one of those and get it and eat it, you'd have to be selectively choosing that animal over others that are much more appealing too.
Yeah.
So it's not even like it's not only unlikely. I mean, it's just you'd have to almost be suicidal to choose those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna eat this orange frog." You
Yeah.
know?
Boy, that frog is really colorful.
Yeah. I wonder how tasty it is.
And even then, there'd have to be a way to cook it out.
Well, and even then, you'd feel the effects just by handling it when you touch it.
Although I think I learned something the other day that, and I find it pretty interesting. Swallowing venom will not kill you.
I didn't know because your liver and kidneys
Yeah.
filter it.
Venom needs to be injected in the blood. Poison, on the other hand, eating poison will kill you. Where drinking venom won't. Like you could drink snake. Well, I'm not going to say don't
Don't
drink
do
snake.
this.
Do
Yeah.
not drink snake venom. All I'm saying is someone could drink venom, according to my research, and it wouldn't kill them. It might make you sick to your stomach, though.
Yeah.
Oh, and unless you have like an ulcer or some internal something or other, then it will kill you.
Yep. Leaves, nuts, plantains, roots, fruit.
Yeah.
All of those things. You got to know what's edible, or you're
And
going to
even
poison
then,
yourself.
Like if that, like you said, if we weren't meant to be meat eaters, we could live off of vegetables alone. Whereas, like, okay, so there was I can't remember where it's at, but there was a potato shortage and a meat shortage. All they had was corn, and people were dying.
Was it Ireland?
I think so. And people were dying. All they were eating was corn.
The potato famine.
And that caused a certain sickness in the body, and people were dying from it.
Yeah.
You can't just eat corn and live.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll sate your hunger and give you sugar, because that's pretty much all corn is water and sugar.
Yeah.
And your body can't really digest it. That's why
Yeah.
That's why it looks the same on the outbound than it does as it does on the inbound. That's the nicest way I could think of putting that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just does kind of make sense if you think about it in that you can eat almost any animal that you see, and you cannot eat almost every plant you see.
Right. Because, like for instance, the berries on a mistletoe tree, or no, not a mistletoe tree, but a mistletoe plant.
They look nice.
They look nice.
Don't eat them.
Don't eat them. Don't eat anything about that plant. The mistletoe is very poisonous. It's a part of a group called nightshade. All right, which is what do you call that?
But the thing is, that's
It's a
not even
parasitic
rare.
plant. It's not. It's a parasitic plant that attaches itself to trees and other plants and sucks the nutrients away from that tree or that other plant. So they're invasive, and they are parasitic, and they kill just to live.
Yeah.
So do not ever eat. Like if you're walking around a forest and you're hungry, don't just go grabbing berries and eating them.
Or mushrooms.
Or mushrooms. Yeah, mushrooms especially. I mean, you know your plants before you eat them.
Yeah.
Like there are certain plants, like skunk cabbage, I believe has a pain relief effect. And what this is
chemistry.
they're poisonous. Like mushrooms, the ones that make you hallucinate, they're poisonous.
Yeah.
That is why you hallucinate. It triggers a defense mechanism in your body, making you trip, making you feel a certain way. But that's poison. That's why if you eat, I've never actually partook in, the hallucinogenic mushrooms, but they're poisonous. Yeah. Long story short, they're poisonous.
Yeah.
A lot of plants are.
Well, and the point of all that is that the electoral margins by which candidates win and lose races
I love it.
are so small
Hi, Madison.
You can choose a topic to manipulate the voting public that will affect the election.
Yeah.
Whether it's even legitimate according to the needs and desires of the actual public.
Yeah.
The actual majority of the public doesn't matter.
I wonder if my son's voting. My son's voting today for the first time ever.
Which one?
Tanner.
Wonder who he's voting for.
No, he's made it very abundantly clear that he is a classic liberal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is basically conservative. Yeah. Or something. I don't know. He calls himself something because I'm like, oh, so you're a liberal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you should have to be just one or the other because there are certain things on each side that appeal to people. It doesn't have to be so cut and dry. I think that the parties shouldn't even be able to announce what side they're running for.
Yeah.
Until after the election. So that people aren't voting just because they're Democrat.
Classic liberal.
Or just because they're Republican.
Is probably more inclined to legislate generosity for the downtrodden, those who are the weaker and the less fortunate within reason, but to legislate moral assistance to those who are unfortunate.
Yeah. Big deal today.
I'm not really sure. Liberal, classic liberal, all that stuff. It's pretty.
I'm going to go after this and get gassed up.
And then there's
the
left
dentist.
and right.
Yeah.
There's
progressive,
and
left and progressive right. Alt-right, they call it.
We need each other. The fact is we all contribute something very, very important to
Yin
the
and
table,
yang.
and that's ourselves.
Yeah.
And our
vote.
perspective.
Long story short, get out and vote today.
Get out and vote.
Vote according to your conscience, not according to what the media or any celebrities tell you to do. So we're not as a media group, we are not endorsing one candidate over the other.
Not as a media group.
No.
But we did say the disclaimer at the beginning.
Yes. So vote according to how you feel, who you feel. Basically, look at it this way. These guys, each one of them, are applying for a job, and it's a very important job.
They want to work for you.
They want to work for you. They want to try and run the business that is your life in general.
That's a problem. Boy, and it has come to that.
So think of it as somebody's applying for a job. Look at their application. See the questions that they were asked. See the answers that they gave. Pay close attention and vote according to who you feel is going to do the best job. Because it's not about Democrat, it's not about Republican, it's about who is going to do the best job for you. As an employer and hiring people, you need to pay attention. That's why they ask you, you ever go to a job interview and they ask you these weird questions, like these hypothetical questions, like, such and such comes in and this happens. What do you do?
Right.
What would you say where would you say you need the most room of an improvement? It's like, why ask me that? This is a job interview. I don't want to talk bad about myself. Mm-hmm. But then really think about it. You think about what you need to improve in your life to make you a better employee, and it really will. And depending on that answer, if you say, oh, I'm perfect, I don't need any improvement, they won't hire you because everybody has room for improvement.
Well, that depends on the employer. But
That's true. That's true. But we need to acknowledge our faults
yeah.
as well as our strengths. If you don't feel you have any faults, that alone in itself is a fault.
There's no need to improve.
Right. So you're already complacent. But yeah, who do you think is going to do the best job? That's what it's all about. Dennis Eversen, I'm giving away something. I can be conservative, but when getting something, I tend to be more liberal. Yeah. Interesting. You'll find all walks of life here at Axe Media Group. We got liberals. We got conservatives. We got conservative liberals, or classic liberal is what Tanner would call
Democrats, Republicans.
Yep. We've got Catholics,
Christians.
Canadians, Christians. Sorry, I was a jibe at Dr. Bob. So I'd say this is very important that you go out and vote. Not just in this election, but in a couple of years there's going to be more for Senate and House.
Every election, you should be voting in every
yeah.
election. And I personally don't, and I should.
Well,
when I found out our mayor was elected by the margin of
yeah, because a lot of people are thinking, my one vote's not going to.
Your vote absolutely matters.
Absolutely. So get out there today and vote.
Even if they throw ballots away because of their bias, if they throw away a stack of ballots like this because this is the one they want to win, they're going to have the anxiety of the fact that these people are all out there.
Yeah.
And maybe sitting right next to them.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy times we live in. So pray for our leaders. Regardless of who wins, it'll be God will allow it because he wants, God will allow it.
God allowed us to have a unique government that makes us the government. We are the ones who govern. We elect those who govern and we fire them.
Yeah.
We have impeachments and all kinds of things that this is supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And it is very different than other government. And so we do have a responsibility. And revolution was written into our Constitution. And I believe that we have a responsibility to it if it's necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's time for us to get out of here. Crazy, huh? That time flew by pretty quick. Oh. Took me a second to realize what we were doing. What? That's going to be loud.
What is? Are we out of here?
To get out of here.
Goodness.
Crazy, huh? Sorry about that. That time flew by pretty quick. Let's go ahead and cut that. Sorry about that, everybody.
Whoa.
Yeah. So let's try this again. There we go. Took me a second to figure out the computer. Jesse Rowland came in last minute. Welcome to the party. Goodbye. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on the morning drive today. Remember, 24 hours from now, we're going to be talking about the results of the election. We'll be back on same time, same channel. Be sure and tune in next for The Spirit in America, followed by Crime Time with Dr. Steve Albrecht. So until then, my friends, God bless you and keep you. We love you. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
And this has been
The Morning Drive.